Hello everyone, I am the Dance Alive Dancer. Welcome to a new series that I'm starting called Debunking the Legend, the myths about me, my mom, how my mom and dad, before the Dance of Life ever began. Welcome to part 1. And to start with, I'm going to start out and I'm going to be telling you the story, what really happened, what really went on right here in this house. Right here, my friends. I'm going to be telling you the real story about what really happened. To start off with, my mom and dad were very religious. And mom was a Sunday school teacher. And she went to church. My dad was a fill-in preacher and a Sunday school teacher and went to church. I want to get that out of the way first. But how was it really like the years? Now, number one, yes, my mom was very sweet, very nice, very kind, very wonderful. I didn't say that she wasn't wonderful. She was very wonderful. But there was a side of mom that the world didn't see. Sweet and wonderful and beautiful mom to the world. To this person. To the world. Yes, she cared about me, but the sweet and wonderful, well, let me put it this way. I wasn't allowed to have friends to come over here. I wasn't allowed to go out like other teenagers did. My mom and dad, mostly my mom, treated me like I was 10 years old my whole life. 10 years old, which is why I'm out there now standing there telling everybody that I'm 16. Because it does affect you. Now I use it for the good. My mom, what I'm literally saying, didn't want me to grow up. She was very overprotective, very overbearing, intrusive. I wasn't allowed to go over here and have a girlfriend. Oh, that was way out of the way. Way out there. I wasn't allowed to go out with friends or go out, and now in the later years I did. But not to the extent that the others did. I wasn't allowed to go swimming. I wasn't allowed to dance. I wasn't allowed to go out there and be the dancer like I am now. Wasn't allowed. Was not allowed. My mom was so overprotective. Again, I state, my mom was a good mom. I didn't say that. I didn't say she wasn't. I did not say she wasn't. Because she was. She was okay. But she was, to the other people, to me, when we lived inside of this house, it was different. That's the world. The world sees different mom than what was to me. Different completely. I was treated like I was 5 and 10 years old. I wasn't allowed to grow up. I wasn't allowed to be free. I wasn't allowed to be Susan. I wasn't allowed to be anything. I know there's another video out there stating something else that I put up earlier, but I'll talk about that later. I wasn't allowed to do this and stuff with my life. Wasn't allowed to go swimming. Wasn't allowed to go to the movies. I did go to the movies in later years, but there was a lot of problems with it that no one ever has seen. A lot of problems with my mom, my dad. If I told you some stuff about my dad, what he did, you would grow green hair and it would stand up straight. Because you wouldn't believe it. And I am going to tell you, and I'm going to let you hear some of it for yourself. Because you might not believe me. But my mom and dad didn't want me to grow up. Wanted to keep me basically here for the rest of my life. Which is, they kept me sort of not locked up. They didn't, sit there and lock me up inside of this house. But they didn't want me to go out into the world, to have my own life, to grow up, to do anything. And that was a constant, you know what I mean, constant battle there. She didn't want me to grow up, didn't want me to have life, didn't want me to have a family, didn't want me to have a girlfriend. That was a big problem. That was a very big problem. But my mom and dad was, like I said, they were overprotective. To the point where if things had went a little bit differently, not only would I not be right here today, or the dance of life wouldn't exist, but if it would have went a little bit differently, if I hadn't fought to have my own life, that's the part the world never seen. The part that where they provided this beautiful picture about how life is beautiful here. For them, they created this, yes. For me in here, wasn't like that at all. Sometimes it was like a nightmare because I wasn't allowed to have my life. They wanted me here, and here's what almost happened. I almost wound up being like one of those people in a group home or has to have somebody take care of them the rest of their life. There was one time when I was not allowed to go out. I was in that back bedroom, the very one that's back there right now, for almost 1 year. And my mom didn't want me to go out of there. And I don't even know what to say about that one. Because, yes, my mom and dad was very, how should I put this, different. They didn't believe in me going out and doing stuff. They were so religious with stuff that when I went to school, now I remember this, Belleville, well, one of the schools, the high school that I went to, Mom went up there and took me and embarrassed me in front of everybody. And yes, she did do that. I wish I had a video of it. But took me out of the, what do you call it, the health class, sex education class. Took me out of there and made a fool out of me in front of everybody, if you know what I mean. I took pills and, well, I'll talk about that later. Took pills to, get sick. But like I said, the presentation my mom has put out there, for everybody else, absolutely beautiful. But no one knows what went on inside these walls. No one knows that at all until today. You're listening to this. I wasn't allowed to go have my own car. In the later years, I did wind up getting one, yes, but with a lot of pushing and a lot of effort. And people get upset with me because I pushed and fought against my mom and dad and all this stuff for this. They took and, stunted my growth. They stunted my growth. When my mom died, I wasn't able to take care of myself. Do you know that out there? Tried to kill myself. And that is the story that you're hearing out there. No, I didn't die and was reborn as Susan. That's not at all what happened. That's not at all what happened. At all. I was still the other person when I came back. The change happened slowly. What happened is I died and I went to hell. And that's another story. I got some videos about that. That's what actually happened there. And so with some other stuff too. But right here at this table, my mom and dad used to sit there, and I used to ask her all the time, Mom, can I dance? Mom, can I go out tonight? Mom, can I have Diana? Mom, can I go dance? Mom, can I be free to have my life? And I sit there probably 11 years in the nursing home asking my mom that, because she stunted me to the point. She stunted me to the point where, I don't know, I was in some sort of hypnotic, mental, I don't know what it was. I thought that I had to ask her to do everything because I was so dependent on her. When she died, I tried to kill myself. Luckily, I didn't accomplish that. And that's where the dance of life comes from. But the beautiful picture that my mom has put out there, it didn't go that way. I wished it had went that way. Oh, how I wished. Now again, I'm saying my mom and dad wasn't bad people. They wasn't You know, I don't think they understood how to take care of kids, really. Either that or there was something else going on. But what I'm saying here is I wasn't that free teenager like those other kids. I wasn't allowed to go swimming, dancing. I wasn't allowed to dress like this. I wasn't allowed to dress like this. You don't know what would have happened if they would have seen me dressing like this. The presentation they give out there is phony. What would have really happened, I'd like to tell you someday. But I'll get to that later. But I was upset and angry for a very long time with them. But they just didn't understand. I mean, yes, they were good. But like I said, I wasn't allowed to live. I wasn't allowed to grow up. When my mom died, I lost all. I didn't know how to take care. Literally, I did not know how to take care of myself. Do you know that? I didn't know what to do. Because they took care of everything and made me sit in the back room, and that was supposed to be, here's what they did. Here's what they called it. Sheltering me away from the evil world. Because they're all non-Christians, and this house, as for me in this house, we live for Jesus. We don't do none of that drugs. We don't do none of that girls. We don't have dates. We don't go swimming because that's wrong. That's evil. Swimming is evil. What is it? Dancing is evil. Going out with girls is evil. Going to the movies is evil. That's what I lived with up until my mom died. To wonder that I'm standing here right now with to do in the dance of life. That's the real mom. And this is just part one. What do you hear? What my dad was really like. You're gonna fall out of your shoes. But the beautiful picture that they printed out there of my dad and what he was really like, get this, and I'll give you a heads up on this. When I said, and I was growing up, I said, you know what? I want to have my own life. I want to have my own house, my own family. You know what my dad said? You want to know what he said? He said, why do you want that? Why do you want to grow up? You have me, meaning I got my dad. Like, what? That's, icky, so to speak. That's a teenage words, by the way. Icky. I could tell you a lot more. I could tell you a lot more that really, really happened. Debunking the legend that's out there about them. That still gets me to this day. Why do you want your own life? Meaning asking me why I want that. Oh, you have us. Like, I'm going to stay there with them for the rest of my life and become, a group home kind of a person that relies on somebody else to take care of them for the rest of their life. No, I wasn't going to let that happen. I was not going to let that happen. That's what I went through. Most of my life up until my mom died. And it was very, very, very damaging to me. Very damaging to me. So lucky, no wonder I ever came out of this to this today. But, like I said, I'm sharing this first part with you today because I want you to know what my mom and dad was really like. What they really did. They held me down. They kept me from having freedom. They kept me from living my own life. They kept me from having a family, which I would have here right today if it wasn't for my mom and dad. They kept me from having, going swimming. They kept me from going, being Susan. They kept me from all of this stuff that other kids have. Going out and playing. Going out and having friends over. They didn't like that. When I had a friend over, they took and sit there like the FBI and sit there and watch me the whole time, making sure that, I don't know what they was making sure that I didn't grow up. And you all know something, my friends? That's the story, part one, of my mom debunking the legend that's out there, making a new one. And this one's called The Truth. And I'll tell you something, there's some stuff in it that'll shock you completely. Who thinks my mom and dad was such a beautiful person out there. Thank you for joining me, my friends, for part one, debunking the legend and the myths of my mom and dad. Thank you, and I hope you have a great night. Good night.